All right, so good morning, boys and girls. Today we are going to start by getting into our daily 5 stations. We did on Wednesday, I talked to you guys because I wasn't loving the flow of the daily 5 stations, so I created a sign-up sheet and I asked you guys your options for the rest of the week. That way we could ensure that we're getting in even distribution of work at the daily 5 stations. Because remember, the first day, you guys all wanted to go to WordWork. So this week, for today and like we did yet Wednesday, we're going to have it spread out, and you're going to go to the daily 5 station that you have been assigned to. Now, I know, boys and girls, some of you guys are not going to be so happy with your choices, but you have to accept them, okay? We accept our choices, and we do not get upset when we don't get our first choices, okay? Because everyone has a chance at each station. So we are learning, that's boys and girls, let's review our reading and writing strategy. So for this week, we're learning to ask questions while we're reading, before we read the book, during reading, and after reading. And we're also learning how to write descriptively. And we talked about using those descriptive words, which Farsom called adjectives. Perfect. So I have a question for you, boys and girls. So since we're learning about asking questions while reading, why do you think it's important to ask questions while we read? Farsom? Yeah. So we want to better understand and comprehend what we're reading, boys and girls. We can't just, some of us can read fluently, which means that we have a good voice and we use perfect expression and we can pronounce the words properly. But if we don't have questions, we won't understand what we are reading. Boys and girls, sometimes I just look at a sheet of paper and I read the words perfectly, but I don't even think about what I'm reading. So that's why it's important to ask questions while you're reading. It's also because you want to understand what the author's message is, or we talked about the moral when we were doing recounting stories. Also to clarify, so sometimes boys and girls, we're not really sure about what the author's trying to say. So asking questions allows for us to clarify our misunderstandings, right, boys and girls? And that's important. Also, asking questions allows us to make connections to a story. And what were the 3 types of connections that we learned about the first week? So text to text, so connecting a text to another text to world, connecting the book to something that's happening in the world, and text to self, which is connecting the story to ourselves. So that's why asking questions is important. All right, and my second thing is, what are the expectations that I have for you guys when you're working at your literacy centers? Right, so you're always staying at your center, you're always staying on task, you're completing your work in your particular area, and what else? And you're following the classroom camp rules, and you're being kind and respectful to your peers. So when you're at listen to reading, or when we have iPad time, because it's more iPad time, you guys are not fighting over the iPad. You're going to be reading the book together. Okay? So that is our option. All right, what else do we have? Okay, so I'm going to explain the centers just so you guys remember what you're doing at each center. So we have read to self. So remember, boys and girls, when you're at read to self, you're filling out this, what's considered basically an organizer, a graphic organizer, where you're going to ask yourself questions before you read the book, while you're reading the book, and after you read the book. Some of us boys and girls read the book ahead of time and then decided we didn't need to use the graphic organizer. We do actually have to use the graphic organizer, boys and girls, okay? And then we have the guided reading table, which is Christian. You're going to be filling out that graphic organizer, and Christian will be guiding you as you're reading the story, okay? We have work on writing, when you'll be working on your descriptive writing skills. So remember we talked about our theme of the week is superheroes. So at this table, you're going to be given a prompt, if I were a superhero. And boys and girls, you are going to write from the perspective of a superhero. So if I was a superhero, I would fly to the grocery store. That's just an example. So remember, you're going to use those verbs, which are those action words, but you're also going to use adjectives to describe what you're gonna essentially look like. So I'm gonna be real. If I was a superhero, I would have a lot of strength in my muscles, and I'd be able to knock over bad things or knock over bad guys easily. You see what I'm saying? Or to be invisible, those kinds of things. Listen to reading, we know is iPad time, so your guys gonna have time with your iPads. And then work on words, boys and girls. We have the coloring sheet, but we also have superhero vocabulary. So you're either going to choose to color in the sight words that are there, or you're going to write down superhero vocabulary words. When you're writing down these words, you can choose to use markers, whiteboards, or manipulative letters. Okay? So after you're done, there's some literacy games at the front that you guys can play, okay?